And what is up, everybody? It is your boy Farai. Thank you once again for tuning into another video, man. Do I have something fun? We're gonna be doing another vocal preset. I've really been enjoying a lot of what has been released lately, especially the stuff with like a rock punk influence. So we're gonna be working on this Destroy Lonely, If Looks Could Kill album sound. You know, I've been loving it. I've been loving the integration with guitars. I'm gonna be focusing a lot more on this type of content. Feels good to be back doing this again. But yeah, man, definitely make sure to smash that like button and let's hop straight into it. As always, this preset will be available in the description. Even if you don't have some of these crazy expensive plugins, I do always include a free VST version where I replicate every preset, you know, and really add that secret sauce, you know, for you to use, you know, without much money, right? So it's going to be great. Definitely stick around for that. As always, you know, check out the links below, links to my vocal recording course where you can learn more about how my process works, my vocal mixing course, really get in depth and watch me work, as well as a link to my mastering course where you can see me master a track from scratch. And if you're not into mastering your own stuff, then check out the link to LANDR. LANDR is an amazing service and hub where you can master your music using AI. You can use them as a distribution service to get your finished final tracks onto Tidal, Spotify, etc., etc. They also have a bunch of resources like samples that you can use in your own production, as well as tutorials and plugins and things like that. So if you're into any of that, definitely check that link below. As always, let's hop straight into it. Alright, so let's take a listen to our track right here, and then we shall break down some of the wonderful presets that we have here. Let's go. Rockstar shit, ripped jeans, Gucci bandana like 17, all black whip, pull up on the scene, my money green like green beans. All we talk is fashion, money and lean. Counting bands, I fell in love with codeine. Yeah, I like a star, yeah, she know she cook it clean. That boy ran up, but that AR got a beam. Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal. Yeah, I don't wanna talk if you ain't talking about a deal. How you feel? How you feel? Baby, I feel fine. Oh man, it feels so good to be making these types of tracks again, man. I love it. You know, mainstream's been getting a bit stale, so this album really saved things for me until Cardi drops. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yeah, let's hop straight into it, man. We've got a lot going on. Obviously, just to kind of overview the sound. You know, we're really going for that high end, and you'll see by the plugins that I've used, we're really going for that high end kind of rock studio professional sound. Now again, you know, even if you don't have these expensive plugins, you know, we can utilize similar compression settings to get that result that we want, okay? And you can see our vocal is very much in line with Destroy Lonely sound. So nonetheless, stick around, let's go. So first things first, man, you know, if you've never seen one of my presets or worked on one of these presets, you know, it's worth taking a quick kind of tour overview of what's going on. Now, the first thing I do when I'm getting ready to record something is I open up a preset, either my default one or something that closely relates to the sound that we're going to be working on. Obviously, me being kind of the creator of these, I always start off with the same bass template. And the reason for that is because it'll pretty much have majority of the plugins off. And that's important because when we are recording, we want to make sure that our vocal sounds good and balanced. We want to make sure that, you know, we're not getting distracted by tweaking different presets here and there and things like that. We don't want to focus on that, right? We want to focus primarily on getting that good vocal sound without many presets on. And then we want to make sure that our vocals are balanced with the beat. So what I start off with, right, is not all of these vocals, right? When you open up this preset, all of the plugins will be there just because I leave it as is. But what I'll do is I'll only have on a little bit of SSL EQ, which will be bare. And then as I'm recording a few lines, I'll start tweaking the EQ, you know what I mean? Just to see if my positioning of the mic is right, if my tone is right, you know what I mean? But I'm really not mixing. I'm just kind of doing a rough, you know what I mean, slotting in of the vocal just to hear if it'll work right. From then on out, and again, if you're going to be using a different beat, like your own beat,
add on another SSL EQ or something on there just to kind of maybe do a little bit of EQ, gain stage the beat, make it hit, you know what I mean? But yeah, SSL EQ, and then I'll generally have a flanger on, and that's just for vibe. And then on the send side, I'll do a full video on some of these sends. I'll have a little bit of reverb, a little bit of delay, tiny bit, just to give me a bit of vibe, you know what I mean? And obviously I'll have on my auto-tune, okay? Auto-tune these days, low latency, you can record with it, you know what I mean? Whatever you're using, whether you're using the newer Untress stuff, I'm stuck on 8.1 because I love it. I love the way it sounds. I love tweaking it. I can always get the sound I want. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I do, okay? So if I haven't turned off any other plugins, then obviously the next thing that I'm going to do is add my microphone, okay? So as you can see right here, I'm just going to mute this because otherwise I'll be speaking over the speakers. But there you go. I got my mic right there, and I can pretty much put my headphones on, get recording, you know what I mean? From then on out, I'll start tweaking my auto-tune, you know what I mean? Adjusting that SSL EQ a little bit as I'm recording, and you know, that's how I do it, you know what I mean? You want to add your mic to this mic input channel just because I like to work in a way that is very analog, okay? It's reminiscent of analog, even the way I'm recording my mic right now. That goes into a console input to my recorder, and it's the way that we work in big studios, okay? So you want to do it like that. If you ask why, that's why, right? You want to keep it analog. You want to keep that workflow there. Visually, it's appealing as well because I got my mic input channel. If I wanted to record some ad-libs, let's just say, boom, now I can record my ad-libs, right? So let's just say I recorded all of my main vocals and I wanted to record some ad-libs, right?
Rockstar shit, ripped jeans, Gucci bandana. Rockstar shit, ripped jeans, Gucci band.
Right, that's how I record, right? You know, for this type of stuff, you can have the plugins on, you know what I mean? I got all these secret source flanges and stuff like that that'll work. So for this type of stuff, it's a lot of fun, you know what I mean? Being able to record over your main vocal, you know, that way you know what the end result's going to sound like. A lot of studios don't do that. You just have all these dry vocals and it doesn't really give you that vibe. But a lot of the pro engineers that work closely with vocalists will have a little preset ready for the artist so that they can just slot it in, you know what I mean? So you're not spending 20 minutes building a reverb sound. Sure, if it's a unique type of song, you'll do that, but you know what I mean? I like to keep it fresh. So there you go. That's pretty much how I do that. So after recording all of my vocals, what I'll then do is take a step back from the mix, right? Come back later on, maybe the next day, and then start leveling and then mixing. Okay, so now we're going to get into our main vocal chain. I don't have enough time today to go through all of the chains. Definitely check this preset out below, you know what I mean? And you know, let's get mixing. So the first thing I do, obviously I did show you earlier, is just, you know, have my auto-tune ready, right? I've already recorded my track with the auto-tune, so that stays there, that's there, you know what I mean? But from then on out, I like to go to my vocal chain, okay? So all of these green channels go somewhere, but they all end up either in the BG vocals, in the vocal chain, which is the mono main vocal, and then they all end up in the vocal bus, okay? Now, main vocal is going to be, right, the meat and potatoes, right? So we want to work on that. So obviously, let's just go to a part with some drums.
Yeah, I like a style, yeah, she know she cook it clean.
Right, we just got a clean vocal, right? How do we get that, right? So the first, let's color code everything. Everything is color coded, but I'm just going to run you through what I'm doing. Light blue, or this kind of blue, whatever, let's just call it blue, is my saturation. This is my emulation of me working analog, okay? Very important. In the preset, you will find these settings, obviously without the vocal enhancer, you know what I mean? Again, you can check this out, link in the description. This is an amazing tool. I get so many DMs from people saying they love this, can't work without it. So definitely check it out if you're an FL Studio recordist. This is a emulation of some of my favorite gear, SSL style EQ, Fairchild style, you know what I mean, saturation stage. A few little secret sauce elements right there, but this is just to shape the characteristic of my vocal and make it sound like I'm pushing it through a console, okay? Very important. Again, I've been saying this for years. I add this last because it actually allows me to shape how my vocal is hitting the rest of the vocal chain, and it kind of allows me to really get that last 5 to 10% out of my mix, okay? So that's the first thing that's going to be on our chain. Second to that, since we have made our Waves analog emulation kit, you know, we got a ton of different hardware units that you can copy off of. I'm actually running through my analog mix bus because I just like the way it makes vocal sound, right? And I know it's technically not right. I should be using like a, you know, SSL input, right? We've got the real stuff from my desk, the first 8 channels on my desk, right? The summing amp, etc., etc. But I'm just running through this analog mix bus. You can see it's adding a little bit of low end bass right there, a little bit of a top end lift, and it just makes my vocal sound solid, right? So if I was to turn the saturation stage off,
Yeah, I like a style, yeah, she know she cook it clean. That boy ran up, but that AR got a beam.
It's cool, it's low in volume, it's not as saturated, right?
Yeah, like a star, yeah, she know she cook it clean. That boy ran up, but that AR got a beam.
Woo, right? This literally sounds like I'm at Studio A of some of my favorite studios, running to the Neve console, running to the SSL console, all right? Part of my analog mix chain does have a SSL in it. It's got a mix bus even in it. Definitely check this out. The link for this will be in the description as well, man. There's so many tools and resources that I made over the years that just, they make your mix sound amazing, okay? Now, after that, we got our green plugins, right? These are going to be my EQs, okay? Always want to do a little bit of EQ. Now, again, because we're going for that high-end rock sound, what do we need? You know, what are we going to put on the vocal if we're in a high-end studio? Well, why not a Pultec, right? This is the Tube Tech PE 1C. I still have the old soft tube plugins, but man, these are actually officially licensed, meaning the guy who makes the Tube Tech hardware approved the sound of these plugins, and they sound so good on the right type of mix. Let me guide you through what I'm doing, okay? So we got a boost and attenuation. We could boost and attenuate, but we're not really going to do that in the low end. Gives you a kind of fatter sound. We're already doing that over here, so no need to. But what I am going to do is just tuck away some of this 30 hertz, okay? Now again, since we have boosted, it's kind of going to do something interesting with the curve, but I just love the way it sounds, okay? But most importantly, what we're doing with this is we're getting that top end boost, okay? Because we really want that vocal to shine. We want it to sound up front. We want it to sound great, right? So I'm doing this high frequency boost at 10K. We've got a nice sharp curve right there. We're doing a little bit of that boost right there, and we just get a really nice vocal sound. If we turn that on,
Yeah, like a star, yeah, she know she cook it clean. That boy ran up, but that AR got a beam.
right? We just get a little bit of a, raspiness, right? Let me just turn that off again.
Yeah, like a star, yeah, she know she cook it clean.
Turn that back on.
Yeah, like a star, yeah, she know she cook it clean.
It just has that classic Pultec sound, okay? So definitely check that out. Again, I will emulate the exact curve of this. Oh, I just changed that. But yeah, it sounds good. So after that, man, just close that off right there. After that, we have our de-esser, okay? Now, again, if we're going to be doing a little bit of a high frequency boost, we want to make sure that we're trimming away some of the excessive sibilances, okay? So again, watch my de-esser video if you have not. 16K DS. Cool, it just comes in once in a while, right?
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup.
Every time there's a tss, just pops in right there, okay? It's nice, it works, it's simple, okay? Now after that, man, we have our yellow compression stages, right? We're gonna be doing a little bit of Tube Tech. This is a CL1B for those who don't know it. Really famous compressor, high-end, expensive, rich sound. It is an opto-style compressor from, if I remember, tube-based. And yeah, we're just doing a very fast attack because it is a very slow compressor, so it's not going to be too aggressive like, for example, 1176 will be. And then we're doing a fairly kind of mid-rangey release, which is just kind of gluing the vocal, okay?
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup.
Right, and as you can see, it's just working that vocal, man. I love incorporating these unique and beautifully sounding compressors. If you listen very closely, you can actually hear how this compressor contributes towards the high end of the vocal. If we turn it off, you'll hear each word has less detail.
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Jumped up on the porch.
Right, listen to that jump. Listen to every word, that initial transient of every line, and you'll hear it just doesn't sound as characteristic.
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal.
Oh man, I'm gonna use this more because it's like the more I use it, the more I begin to hear many of my favorite records, that have that studio sound, have this on it. So there you go. Pair that together with the $20,000 Sony mic. Oh, it's good stuff, man. But anyway, moving on, let's go back to our EQ stage. I'll kind of run both the EQs at the same time just so we can save some time. But actually, that might be a bit overwhelming for many. So first things first, man, we're going to be doing a little bit of toning EQ. Again, I did talk about this earlier. This is kind of a, I'll adjust things later on in the mix, but once I've done my rough mix, I kind of keep that where it is and build my mix around this, right? But mostly we're just tucking away low end, doing a little bit of a boost somewhere here and there, sometimes a dip, and then just boost that treble a little bit, man. And that's really gonna give us our sound. We also do a little bit of gain staging, low end cut, you know, a little bit of compression. Easy stuff, man. Just stuff that adds up over time. We turn that off.
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal.
Right? It adds up, okay? After that, we then just gonna really kind of detail our vocal. Now again, these are quite aggressive cuts, but to me personally, at higher volumes you won't hear them too much, but just for your kind of general listening, you know, it will affect the vocal for sure, but like I really want to get in there and just tuck stuff away, deal with stuff. You know, how much does it affect the vocal?
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal.
It's adding 5% even though we're doing all these crazy cuts, right? So if you really want to do it, you can, but mostly just treat that 300 to 500 range. You know, deal with that 7K or 5K all the way up. You know what I mean? Deal with those ranges. You know, if you find excess in your treble, deal with that, find those points and then notch them out. Listen, you know, work again. Same thing for the low end, right? After that, we do a little bit of 1176. Generally, I'd have an R compressor here from Waves, but I wanted something expensive sounding. I wanted something nice sounding, so we used a little bit of 1176, right? If you turn that on.
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal. Yeah, I don't wanna talk if you ain't talking about a deal.
Right, that's really just adding in that upfront mid-range aggression, right? Now, if you do not have a nice emulation of 1176, well, if you get the Waves pack, right, for the Q clone, guess what I have? I've actually got real preamp flavors, real preamp tones for my real 1176 vintage, right? We've got the real tones right there, okay? So if you do want to get a little bit of a tone, I just hope I'm not going, I think I can undo what I've done here, but for example, let's just pull that up. Right, that's what the tone looks like when you compress it, right? It gets rid of some of the top end, right? It makes it sound more mid-rangey. So, you know, mess around with those, you'll see they sound great, okay? And then after that, once you've done our 1176, we then do our flanges and things like that. Added this phaser because the Destroy Lonely sound is kind of phasey.
Get how you feel. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch.
It just kind of helps to get that top end to fit into the track, you know, it makes it sound more kind of glamorous per se. But yeah, man, that's pretty much how we do it, man. We got all sorts of crazy background vocals, you know what I mean? You can definitely check that all out, you know, ad-libs.
Yeah.
Right, we got our kind of crazy yeet style doubler, right?
Green beans. Woo.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? We got that sound right there. And then we got another doubler, which is kind of like more rocky opium. You know what I mean? Definitely something that you could just hear on a Carly record or Destroy Lonely. And mix that all together, we got something cool.
I cracked the cell.
Really cool. And then we got our background left and right.
I cracked the cell. I get it. I just bought a pint, then I cracked the syrup. Yeah, jumped up on the porch, then I made a meal. Yeah, I don't.
And it just opens up, you know what I mean? It really adds that trebly vibe to the track. But there you go, man. That's pretty much how we do it. You know what I mean? We opiumed out over here, man. We are rocking. And, you know, comment below more punk type artists. You know what I mean? I love recording these types of tracks. You know what I mean? I love the way the mixes turn out. They sound great. You know, if you want to get your mixes like this, definitely cop this preset. Definitely check out the course if you want to learn to record better. You know what I mean? Invest in your craft. You know, you can get a mix done by me. You can get a master done by me. We do it all. If you want to Zoom with me, you can do that as well. All the links are below. You know what I mean? Support the channel. Help me allocate more time to this channel. You know what I mean? It's all love. But yeah, man, I'll check out in the next one. Stay well. Keep recording. Peace out.